All right, well, welcome everybody. First, I want to just take a minute to recognize our new city manager today, Janine Jordan, doing her first work session. So I just want to welcome Janine. Very excited. Been here about a little over a week, I guess, right? Week and a half almost.
Holiday.
Yep, absolutely. So just want to welcome her. So. All right, let's go ahead and just jump in. Meeting follow-up. Does anybody have anything they wanted? Well, it was a couple weeks ago. Touch base on? Nope. Pat, Mike, you guys have anything for the last meeting? Okay.
I do not.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move into the Seminoe Pump Storage. I'm going to throw that to you, Janine.
Thank you. So council, this project has been in the works for a few years. I've learned a lot about it the last week and had the benefit of speaking with your city attorney about it, who had a lot of background information. He and I briefed on it last week. We've also read information, everything that we can find available around the project, and with Eric's help, prepared the material in your packet, which we hope is a fairly succinct summary of about 1,000 pages of documents related to this project. Eric did prepare that, so I want to acknowledge and thank him for doing that, and he will lead off covering the material that he prepared for you tonight. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to take those. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Eric.
Great, thank you, Madam City Manager. Mayor, I think I'm going to go to the podium just because it seems a little more natural that way. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about a pump storage project, often referred to as a Seminoe pump storage project by R+ Hydro, which is a corporation based out of Salt Lake City. In addition to the memo in your packet, I did attach both a presentation from R+ Hydro that they gave to the Carbon County Commissioners, as well as the Carbon County Commissioners' comments on the project. This project is located in Carbon County, but based on the proposal, does appear to potentially have some impacts downstream on the North Platte River and potentially on the city of Casper's interests. And so I'll kind of briefly walk you through what the project is, some of what the company has proposed as benefits, and then I'll walk you through what some of the concerns and comments have been. Just to kind of get to the punchline, what staff would recommend is that council give thumbs to staff preparing a comment letter to be submitted on behalf of the city. That deadline is January 2nd, which is this Friday. So it's a pretty short turnaround. I did also include kind of a draft letter of comment that more or less incorporates the position of Carbon County. After speaking with City Manager Jordan, I think there's probably additional information that we would include in there, and so with your blessing, it would be probably a little bit more robust. But with that outline, I'll just start a little bit with regard to what the project is. And so, if you're familiar with that area out by Seminoe and Pathfinder, there's quite a bit of renewable energy, wind farms, and so that ties into the grid and is shot off to all points west into Utah, Nevada, California. And the problem with renewable energy is that it's great when the wind is blowing, which is often the case in Wyoming, but there are times when the wind stops blowing and there's no electricity being produced. And so storage of that electricity is always kind of been the bugaboo. And what this project portends to do is to develop a storage system for electricity. And it's a fairly simple concept on some levels. What the company is proposing is to develop an upper reservoir above Seminoe. And these wind turbines would generate electricity, which would then power pumps, and they would pump water up into this upper reservoir that would be stored. And then in times of down times, when there's no wind or electricity being generated by the turbines, this water can then be let out of that upper reservoir, thereby turning electrical generators, generating electricity, which would then be pumped into the grid and then shipped all points west. And I think it's fairly common knowledge that some of Western states, West Coast states specifically, have certain carbon mandates, and so they rely on renewable energy from Wyoming to meet these emission standards. And so this would help to even out that flow of electricity west and help them meet those goals. And so the upper reservoir itself is anticipated to encompass approximately 120 acres of land, have a capacity of 13,000 acre-feet of water, which if you compare that to the overall storage in Seminoe, that's about 1% of the Seminoe volume. It would occupy a fair number of acres. So prior to the latest permutation, it appeared that there'd be about 1,025 acres of Bureau of Land Management property that would be dedicated to this project, 77 acres of Bureau of Rec land, and about 830 acres of private land as well. And so this federal land being involved triggers certain federal requirements. In addition to the FERC requirements and the requirement for a major permit, before you can even get to that, you have to comply with the environmental NEPA to do an environmental impact assessment or statement. And so that's that draft document has been released and is now in the comment period. So based on what R plus Hydro presented, they would be investing $3 to $4 billion. It would generate $9 million annually in property tax for Carbon County is what they estimate. There would be a fair number of temporary construction jobs, but then permanently about 30 to 35 jobs. When you look at the location of the project, it's about 35 miles, I think, northeast or northwest of Rawlins. So it's hard to say that any of those jobs would be located here in Casper. So they did start this process with an application for an original major license to construct the project back in January of 2023 with FERC. They've supplemented that filing numerous times over the years, most recently in April of 25. And so FERC, in their draft EIS statement, has identified several primary issues, including soil disturbance and vegetation removal, potential changes in water quality, including a downstream river reach that supports a blue ribbon trout fishery, which we all know to be the Miracle Mile, potential entrainment and loss of fish. I'm not a fisheries biologist, nor am I an engineer. I'm just a lawyer. But what I understand entrainment to result in is the potential destruction of tens of thousands, if not more, of walleye and Seminoe, in addition to potential changes to the water temperature and clarity that could impact the trout fishery. So potential significant impacts on these fisheries. A loss of wildlife habitat and noise effects on wildlife. So this area that is earmarked for this project contains what I think is often seen to be the healthiest bighorn sheep population and herd in the state of Wyoming. Apparently it has 0 cases of a type of pneumonia that riddles other herds. This would apparently affect their habitat quite impactfully, both during construction and operation. And so some of what you see in the EIS are potential seasonal restrictions around construction, those types of things. And then finally, FERC identified potential effects on recreation. So in the EIS, there's several alternatives that are typically presented, and FERC recommended licensing under their staff alternative, which does take into account some of the certain modifications and additional measures recommended by stakeholders. One concept, and again, I'm starting to speak out a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, and so if there's questions, I have to phone a friend. But this, what I'm understanding is this is not a closed system, and so this will continually recycle into the river and into the reservoir. And so had it been a closed system, a lot of this could be ameliorated, but that is not a proposal in any of the alternatives. And because of that, you're seeing a lot of potential impacts that are coming up. So why did I start by looking at Carbon County and the letter that the Carbon County Commissioners provided? Well, they are a cooperating agency pursuant to NEPA. And so pursuant to NEPA and Wyoming statute, the county is deemed in this case to have special expertise in these matters affecting their residents. They have a special status in the process, and filling that role, the Carbon County Commissioners raised a number of concerns in their written comments, and I've listed several bullet points, and I probably won't go through all of those because you all can read the memo, but a lot of what they really honed in on was just insufficient study of a lot of the potential impacts. And as I've looked at a number of different comments that have been made by various entities, agencies, individuals, I mean, that is a very common theme, I think, is that just didn't give enough time and study to some of these impacts. And certainly, I think what I have not seen in really any of this, so that's not to say that it doesn't exist, but I have not seen it, is really an analysis of the downstream effects. It's all what's going to happen to Seminoe, what's going to happen to that herd, but how is the blue ribbon trout fishery going to be impacted? What are those economic impacts that might be felt by Casper and Natrona County? I just haven't seen that level of analysis. The other thing I would say is that there is a group of Casper-based businesses, nonprofit organizations, and individuals, primarily in the guiding industry, that have established Friends of the North Platte. Your memo contains a link to their website. As best I can tell, this group was brought together primarily for the purpose of protecting the river, but specifically to oppose this project. And so they have presented lots of information, presented lots of comment. I'm very concerned about the Miracle Mile. Kind of moving beyond the memo, a couple things that I would point out is December 15th of this year, so just a mere 2 weeks ago, the developer has presented alternative D, which is another alternative way to proceed. It's a fairly lengthy document. You can find it on the FERC website, but I did receive a couple of synopsis of what that alternative contains. I thought kind of importantly, it would relocate parts of the project to Bureau of Reclamation lands. The groups are looking at that somewhat with a critical eye, because they believe that's done to evade some additional mitigating measures. That it's still not responding to the concerns of the fishery. And finally, it's just kind of a last minute modification prior to the deadline, and there just isn't enough time for the public to fully analyze what that alternative would consist of. So with that, I wanted to just briefly walk you through a couple of additional letters that I think are potentially pertinent to the decision of council and kind of our concerns. So Mr. Tim Dolan submitted comments to FERC. He's a retired engineer with the Bureau of Reclamation, and he had voiced very technical concerns with the effect on the Seminoe Dam. I mean, he started getting into the properties of concrete and all kinds of stuff. But the gist of what he submitted is that this could have a very deleterious effect on the integrity of the dam, which if that is, of course, the case, could have very catastrophic downstream ramifications for Natrona County and Casper. The Wyoming Water Development Commission submitted comments basically indicating that the project had not secured sufficient water rights to fill the upper reservoir, so they can't just dig a hole and siphon off water. And so they've raised this as a fundamental issue with their ability to proceed. The Wild Sheep Foundation presented a multi-page comment on the specific effects on the wild sheep herd there. Trout Unlimited did something very similar with regard to the effects on the fisheries, and again, much more technical and beyond my expertise. But suffice it to say that they believe that a lot of these effects would be very negative on the fisheries. On November 6th of this year at the Joint Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources Legislative Committee meeting, Representative Elisa Campbell asked the Game and Fish Director specifically if Game and Fish was aware and if they had any thoughts about the project. The director, at about an hour and 42 minutes in, did address this, and I'll just read this quote. Quote, "There will be impacts from the project to sage grouse and mule deer. I believe we can mitigate for those. However, there will also be impacts to the local bighorn sheep population, which I don't believe we can sufficiently mitigate impacts for those sheep. That sheep herd there, as well as the fisheries and the Miracle Mile, I don't believe we can come up with a mitigation proposal that would be sufficient in that case." End quote. So that was a public comment from the Game and Fish Commission director. And finally, I would note that the city of Casper recently engaged in a Casper Recreation Master Plan, and the last bullet under Section 5 of North Platte River Development and Experiences states, as a goal to protect and preserve the river from future negative disruptions, monitor potential projects that may affect the river, water flows, water quality, etc., and advocate on behalf of the integrity of the river and fisheries flowing through Natrona County. So Mayor and Council, just to kind of get to the point, we as staff feel that this potentially could have some very negative impacts on Casper's economy, our quality of life and recreational opportunities. Not advocating that council take a stand either for or against the project, but we certainly are asking for thumbs to submit a letter expressing some of the concerns that we have about these impacts from the project. And so with that, Mayor, I would certainly stand for any questions that I might answer.
Questions from council? Anybody have any questions? Pat, do you have a question?
I do. So, I didn't see the letter attached that the county, Natrona County, I believe, sent a letter also. Have you been privy to that, Eric?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilor, I have. Essentially, their letter was very similar to the draft letter I put together. They just referenced the Carbon County letter and said we concur in the concerns that the Carbon County commissioners raised, and additionally have concerns regarding the North Platte fishery. It was one-page letter. Didn't go into any technical discussion, but just incorporated by reference other comments.
Follow up, Mayor.
Go ahead.
So, I mean, do you think this suffices? I mean, in comparison to Carbon County, and of course, they're right in the midst of it. So, but if this is adequate, I think it's good.
Mayor, Councilor, so certainly I think staff's position is that it's important for the city of Casper to be on the record voicing our concerns, whether that's independently or incorporating other comments by reference. I think in conversation with City Manager Jordan today, we would probably want to incorporate a little more substantive points rather than just incorporating other letters. We can certainly do that by the Friday deadline. It's an online submission process, so that's pretty quick. The one thing I did omit was to say that this will not be the only bite at the apple I think that the city would have. So this is the draft EIS. The comment period closes on the 2nd. Sometime probably second quarter, we could expect a final EIS to be issued. There could be other opportunities for hearings and testimony. Certainly there'll need to be a record of decision then entered. There's additional FERC permits that need to be obtained, and ultimately it'll have to go through industrial siting, which, as some of you know, is typically a bifurcated process. The city typically only participates in the second part, which is the impact mitigation or impact assistance funding portion. That does not to say that if the city felt strongly enough at that point, we could certainly petition to be part of the permit issuing part that's held first and become a party to that proceeding. So there's other opportunities to weigh in. I think it's staff's opinion that it's just important that we be on the record voicing some of these concerns on behalf of our constituents.
Thank you.
Jenna.
Is it too late to ask them to come and talk to us about it? Or, because I saw that they did some in November, like open community town halls on the subject. Is it too late to request that they come and explain it more in depth to us, what's happening? Or
Mayor, Councilor, no, absolutely not. I think it's probably too late to have them come before we have to submit comments on Friday.
Right.
But it's a long way from being a done deal. I mean, when you look at the town halls that were held, I think it was down in Rollins, and it was all Carbon
Cheyenne.
Cheyenne, yeah. So there hasn't, to my knowledge, town hall or any presentations done here in Trona County, and that's certainly, if council desires, we can reach out and see if we can get them to come up.
Well, I mean, I would show up if they came and did a town hall just to educate myself on actually what the process is. I know it's going to have some effects, like I've read the letter and all of that. However, I think it would be maybe beneficial to constituents too, to hear and understand from them what they're trying to do, and then they can form their own perspective as well and stand up for game and fish or our blue ribbon tourism for trout, and I see ugly bugs here. And I mean, it's a big tourism draw. So if we can hear it from them down the road, but as long as I'm in support of the letter that I saw here that Ray wrote up and you, because I think it draws, brings up all those points. And I just think if they're here and they're facing the music and giving us a face-to-face interaction about what they want to do, I think it would be beneficial.
I agree. Address the community would be
Right.
ideal, since it would affect us
Yeah, like a town hall.
and the companies and
Yep.
things out of here. Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
No question. I do like the concept of pump water storage. Just theoretically, I think there's a lot of merits to it, but totally agree with all of the concerns that have been brought up by all the other stakeholders and am totally supportive of this letter that you've drafted, Eric. I mean, like Councilor Jensen mentioned, I think I went to like probably 5 or 6 town halls for radionuclear, and the fact that we haven't had a single opportunity to connect with anyone in regards to this project definitely, to me, is a stark contrast. So I just think there needs to be a lot more transparency, a lot more opportunity for the public to learn more about this technology and the people involved. And so for that reason, totally supportive of this letter.
Others?
Mayor, I had I don't know if it's not so much a question, but a comment kind of along the same lines as Councilor Gamroth and Councilor Jensen. But I think either it was in your letter, Eric, or in one of the documents you included in the packet that, the impacts of this are, there's lots of impact, but very little benefit. Or that was generally the gist of the comment in the memo or the what I read, which I agree with. And I thought it was when I saw that there was a public town hall in Rollins and in Cheyenne. Well, Cheyenne's not going to get impacted by this as much as Casper. And so I thought it was a very cowardly way of getting around that situation, because I think Casper stands to have the most impact and perhaps the least benefit of all this. So I think I'm in 100% agreement that I think we ought to insist on a town hall, because I think they ought to hear from the local folks about the impact this is going to have and take that testimony into consideration, along with any information that we send along. So that's my thought.
Any other comments or questions? The city manager or for Eric? Okay. So direction requested by the staff is for us to support this letter. And then I think tentatively also, I agree with Councilor Jensen and Councilor Gamroth, and at some point they're going to have to come here to speak to us and speak to the community. And so I don't know, however, we can put pressure on them to come here to be a little bit more transparent, like you said, I think is important.
I did hear that they're really nice guys. So maybe they will.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. On to Firehouse Subs Grant. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Council. We do have Chief Black here with us this evening, and he will walk you through the detail of the Firehouse Subs Grant, which will purchase some essential and needed equipment if awarded for the fire department. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to take those. In the meantime, I'll invite Chief Black to come and address you. And am I speaking loudly enough?
No.
Okay. That's why I was asking you.
Sorry. I'm underneath this blower that blows in, so it is really hard to hear. And then also, I know that they cannot hear on the web.
Thank
because
you
Dennis
for
Deansland is on there, I'm
contributing
sure.
to my
and-
sound check. I appreciate it. I will speak up for future reference.
Mayor, councilors, good to see you tonight. Thank you for allowing me to request your permission to apply for the Firehouse Subs Grant. The application opens on January 8th, so I'm trying to get ahead of the ball and request your permission to make the application. This is for the replacement of our chainsaw complement. Many of our units throughout the Casper Fire EMS are over 20 years old, and so they're pushing their life cycles right now. We've done a really good job at maintenance and taking care of them, but it is a critical piece of equipment on the fire ground, and it's something that we don't need to be jamming up when we're trying to cut through a house and a roof and access things that we got to get to. There's no match required. It's for the amount of $37,726.49. And after that, it'll just be typical maintenance and repair that we're already doing with our current complement. So with that, I would open up to any questions.
Thanks, Chief. I'm sure you've done your diligence in this regard. I know they anticipate building here, but I haven't seen any permits pulled or anything. I take it we're well within eligibility guidelines for this grant with them not having a physical presence
Yes,
quite yet?
yes. We've looked at all the grant requirements and what they're into on this cycle. And the chainsaw equipment does fall within those grant cycles.
Cool. Well, I am excited for the equipment and equally excited for the hoagies. They make like the best subs ever.
Any questions for the chief? Okay. Council okay with, oh, yeah, go ahead, Pat, sorry.
Mayor, I was just gonna put a plug in for the fire department that I think when Poor Boy's roof caught on fire, I don't know how many saws they went through. I know the canisters of oxygen tanks were lined down the street, but didn't help. It was a 90-degree day to fight that fire, but I don't know how many years ago that was, but it's probably the same chainsaw. So
Mayor, Councilor, yes, that firefight was extremely long and it had to have been close to 20 years ago now.
yeah,
But I do know it lasted a good, 12, 14, 16 hours. We went through multiple saws and we went through everything, all the chains. It was very difficult to breach that roof. So in a situation like that, you want to have good equipment, ready to rock,
Yeah.
be able to take care of business.
thankfully my backhoe was close.
Yes, yes.
When
That saved the day.
when I took down the back wall for him. So
Thanks, Pat. All right, council is good with pursuing this?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it. All right. Agenda review. Anybody have anything they would like to discuss before I hand it over to the city manager to see if there's anything we want to discuss? Anything? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know if I am clear on this based on our conversation before the meeting, but the establishment of the Tribune as a paper record, are we pulling that off the consent next week, right?
Certainly can do that if the council would like to discuss it. Absolutely.
I would like to discuss it. So I would like to
It's a
pull that
formal
off.
request. And I know I did ask, I think Pat did as well, to pull off the Eagle Valley replat resolution. So I did ask for that to be pulled off.
Forget that.
Okay. Anything else? Anything you'd like to run it by us?
Mayor and council, I will say no, I have nothing to bring to you this evening. Pretty low-key meeting for you. We're preparing, of course, material for your next meeting, which you've just covered, and looking at ongoing work session schedules. Am I a little bit better back there, Jen?
No, but
No,
I'm not
okay.
against the mic.
All right, I'm leaning in.
Lord.
Yeah.
I'm just helping Pat. I don't know. When he's sitting here, he's gonna have problems too if we switch.
Absolutely. I will project more.
I'm
In
gonna
any
get you a
case,
little
no,
mic.
nothing that we need to cover this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Great. All right, any questions for the future agendas? Other than what we just brought? Okay, awesome. All right, let's go ahead and do council around the table for anything. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Amber, do you care if we start with you?
I don't care, and I do care about around the table. I just
know.
don't care about starting with me. I don't think I have anything since the last.
Thanks. Matt, you have anything tonight? Mike Bond, do you have anything you want to table tonight?
I don't, Mayor, other than to just wish everyone a happy new year.
Thanks, Mike.
No, quiet last few weeks. So nothing's ringing a bell except for I got into town too late and forgot that I had a meeting yesterday that I forgot, but hopefully Kyle made it. No, maybe not.
One or two.
So apologize, but missed that one.
Randy, you have anything?
Yeah, also don't remember anything, but I did want to ask if we could get an update from Bill Phil regarding, yes.
I was
thanks
supposed
for
to remind you
reminding me.
about
I
that,
know,
sorry.
right? But I was like something.
But now when you started talking, I knew it.
So the Bill Phil passes, is that right?
Yep.
I would like an update on that because I sent a child kid of mine to the Bill Phil and they no longer take that letter I couldn't find online, so I don't know what we're doing. And I would just like to know what we're doing, how we're doing, and is it working? Please, thank you.
Is council okay with putting this real quickly to talk about? Is that okay? Even a pre-meeting
Sure.
would be fine too, or a regular meeting. Usually sometimes what we'll do, those pre-meetings, we'll put something that doesn't take very long. All right. Pat, do you have anything you'd like to talk about tonight?
No, I wasn't planning on being here, but I didn't want to miss the first meeting with our new city manager. Welcome, excited to work with you, and well, I think so. So, but and then Mayor, if I could ask, how long do you, being we're ahead of schedule, how long do you think the executive session would last?
Probably about a half hour, Pat,
Okay,
depending upon how much
maybe.
you talk.
Yeah, depending on you, Pat.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor.
If you keep it to 5 minutes, then we're good. No, probably about a half
And
an hour,
then-
Pat.
Okay. And then maybe send me an invite. I may have to bug out. I'm currently packing, well, not currently, but packing to drive to Pittsburgh tomorrow morning. So if I can.
Fleur said that we'll send you a phone call or get you a call.
Okay, thank you.
Kyle, do you have anything tonight?
Thanks, Mayor. As Councilor Jensen implied, we had a OID meeting yesterday. I also missed it. So apologies to Liz. Didn't even give her notice or nothing. But I heard it was great. We established a date for the Midwest ribbon cutting ceremony, which has been pushed a few different times for various reasons, but hoping to finally get done a ribbon cutting ceremony for the completion of the last phase of that street. We are having a joint downtown meeting between the DCBA, the Downtown Development Authority, the OID to visit Casper and David Street on January 26th. This is kind of I think we usually do it biannually, maybe quarterly, but just trying to make sure that we get all those folks in the same room occasionally to talk about shared goals and shared efforts and making sure we're all coordinating as effectively as we can. So I appreciate the fact that we're having those meetings now. And then it sounds like Liz got some good feedback from the OID group regarding the parade, so she'll be reaching out to share all those things we missed. And then lastly, I did just want to also welcome Janine as our city manager. I'm really looking forward to working with you and hope you're settling in all right. And I also wanted to, I appreciate the mayor offering the comments last week. I was caught off guard. I didn't get to say anything publicly about Zu Lima, who served as our interim. And so here you are. I kind of caught you after the meeting, I think, but I just wanted to be on the record. Make sure you're aware. I very much appreciated your tenure as interim manager. I think you fulfilled the office with dignity and respect and everything that we'd be looking for, and just really appreciate you and John. So thank you.
Kyle.
That's all I got.
Kyle, do you know what
Yes, sir.
time that meeting is on the 26th?
No, I will
Get
check.
that Aggie.
Yeah, I'll check my inbox and make sure you get an email them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor.
Nothing for me.
I don't have a whole lot either. It's been a very nice break. I do want to give everybody a heads up for next year. Boards and committees and commissions are coming up. So a couple different things. I've already had a couple people reach out asking and making requests about maybe switching off for a while if they've been on something for a little bit. And so if you're interested in that, please send me an email and I'll start working on that and going through those boards and commissions to see what we need to do. If one's kind of been tough for you, for myself, I'm on about 14, and so I'm going to kind of pare down just a little bit for this next year. But other than that, kind of take a look at it. I can have them sent to counselors. So we'll send this to you to see where you're at. Like I said, I've had a couple of you ask me to be off of a board or two. So please let me know any requests that you have. If you're happy with where you're at, that's great. But if you want to try to do something different, that'd be great too. So that will be something in the next week or two that we'll be focusing on. I think that's all I got. And a happy new year to everybody. All right. We do have a special meeting and a executive session. I now call the December 30th, 2025 special council meeting to order. All members are present. Please note that Councilor Bond and Councilor Sweeney are meeting with us remotely. Let's see, moving on, sorry, folks. Notice of an executive session to take place on this date and during this meeting was given. We have matters to discuss regarding personnel matters. Therefore, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn to an executive session, and at the conclusion of that executive session to reconvene the special meeting solely for the purposes of adjournment of the special meeting.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Haskins. There are a majority of members present, and a motion to adjourn to an executive session has been moved and seconded. This motion requires a 2/3 majority of the council present. Any abstentions or nay votes? All voting aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. A greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the motion. We are hereby adjourned into an executive session.